What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I am back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the left side of the map in the red color, playing as Odin. His name is the Rapl. His opponent today in the blue color, playing as Ra. His name is Squash, Mr. Clean himself. I'm excited to see this matchup. Squash is a lot of players' picks for the current best player. The only problem is we've never really seen him have to participate in a tournament. He can play every single god. He pretty much chooses to play Ra and Poseidon exclusively in ranked 1v1s, but when he jumps into team games, you'll see him bounce around a lot to all the different gods that are available. But he's definitely got some of the cleanest gameplay you will ever see. And if you are a budding RTS wannabe, someone who wants to become an Age Mythology player, and you want to know which person to go and watch to learn how to play Age Mythology, you probably can go no better than Squash, just in terms of his clean macro. Everything is perfect. He always places his buildings in the right place. One could argue that this mining camp is placed in the incorrect place, and you would probably be right. It's definitely better to put your mining camp on the long side, but maybe Squash knows something that I don't. Anyways, he's found himself secondary deer, and he's going to be motoring ahead in this game. His opponent today is Rapl, and while Rapl hasn't yet had any serious success in any of the really big tournaments, he has done really well in the smaller tournaments. For example, I believe he came second. I could be wrong. I could be maybe third or fourth in the Smurf tournament recently. And he has a lot of wins under his belt against some of the best players, and can definitely take games off of any of the best players whenever he wants. Like if he plays well, he can get wins wherever that could be possible. However, he is finding himself, in a very difficult matchup. Odin versus Ra is not necessarily 100% map dependent, but the map does dictate a lot of what Odin can do here, and how Odin needs to figure out how to win, and definitely how Odin needs to figure out how to not lose. Ra, on the other hand, is always a threat against Norse, Odin especially, but Norse including Thor, not so much Loki. I mean, Loki as well, but in a different way. So Ra is definitely the Norse killer in a big way. So we'll see what Squash has got in store for us here today. He's got no villages on wood. This is standard. It means that Squash is going to be going for some kind of far second town center, or just a clean classical age, but fight, some sort of clean classical age fight. But I would assume this is going to be a far second town center with what's happening here. His temple is going to be coming up just about in the nick of time for this villager to come through. Maybe just a touch slow, but it's not going to matter. He's going to be able to advance slightly. Oh, he's going for one more villager. I would have thought he would have canceled that villager and just waited to advance, but all good. 445 advance time. Chucking villagers over to wood as he's going to be going up in order to get himself Shadoof and get himself plow. So it looks like a very, very standard fast second town center start here in this game. He's got plenty of cows to eat in his base, and he's going to be motoring ahead very, very fast. So Rapl needs to basically go, all right, what is my opponent doing? Right now, he needs to work it out, and he is picking Heimdal. And Heimdal means one of a couple of things. He can go for a rush, which is pretty easy to defend most of the time. He can go for a far second town center into sort of sentry tower shenanigans. He can go for a fake rush into a fast heroic, into like a sort of walking woods Jarl-esque style of gameplay. Lots of different options with Heimdal, and it's really, really effective against Ra, because Ra doesn't have a very good scout when he goes for Ptah. You can kill off that Wadget, but if it gets caught out with a Hersor or two, and just make sure he doesn't know what you're doing. So we'll see how this is all going to go, as Ptah is just about to pop. Heimdal coming through, and will Squash say, oh, Heimdal in, I'm scared, or will Squash just go for the town center? That's the big question, because right now Squash has just got a back gold mine. So he's got 2 watchtowers on this gold mine, but Undermine can kill both of these towers, so he might want to be a little bit more careful with everything. But it looks like he just says, whatever. Just going to ignore your Heimdal. Doesn't matter to me. And Rapl says, yep, I'm just going to get my town center up now. So one thing that Rapl needs to be careful of right now is to not get his units shifting sands. So one thing that he might want to do is leave this Raven in a fairly floaty spot here and a floaty spot here to see if a Pharaoh comes in to try and be annoying on this town center. It's a pretty hard counter to a forward town center grab by a Norse is that early shifting sands, grabbing all of the infantry units and chucking them into his base. So we see the second town center coming up on this point. The big problem here for Rapl that he's going to have to overcome is gold mines. There's gold mines everywhere on this map. There's 2 gold mines on this side. There's 1 gold mine over here. So no timing attack is necessarily going to push Squash out of the game. So Rapple's going to have to think about that and go, okay, what can he do instead? So timing attacks, somewhat out of the question here in a kind of big way. The town centers are incredibly far back, and this map is incredibly defensive for Squash. I reckon we're going to start seeing walls coming through. Safeguard is a upgrade he's going to get. Not only that, we've got Blankets of Empress Zoe, which is going to be able to make those walls even stronger, as well as the buildings, making the crush damage a little bit less. And we'll see how this is going to go, as we are seeing a little attempt at taking this down. This would be a well worth an undermine here in a big way. Take this tower down and take the temple down means a potential stoppage of the rock. Now, here's something else that Squash has done, which I love. Brings his cows up to this town center. There was nothing on it. He's going to be able to build his farms as soon as the Shadoof's coming through, his plows coming through. Everything's in nicely. 12 villages on gold right now. And you can see that while the gold mine is great for these villages over here, these kind of 5 villages over here, maybe 6 villages even, the rest of them are walking around to hit the gold mine. And he might want to just maneuver his villages around a little bit and fix that up, but looks like he's not really caring all too much about that one. Armory coming down, barracks coming down, just in case Rapl decides to go full out or all in on the Heimdal. He wants to get Axeman out, I guess. There's the rain coming through. And Rapl now, he's still pumping these units out. He's got himself watchtowers. Watchtowers is something you definitely need to get in this matchup anyways to prevent rock abuse in your base and potentially rock abuse on a secondary gold mine as well. But all the walls are now coming down, and we are seeing watchtowers being dropped here. This watchtower, I think he could have placed this a little bit better. Definitely on top of this gold mine from here would have been a really, really nice position for it, but he decides not to go for that one. More walls coming through, as we're going to be seeing Rapl taking advantage of this location over here, and we see walls coming up on this location as well. This game reminds me very much of a Rapl versus Kimo game not too long ago, so we'll see if it's going to work out for Rapl as Squash is about to be advancing. We're seeing him build a sort of house box here in a way, so maybe going to be dropping some units in here a little bit later, but I'm always a fan of shifting sands being used aggressively rather than defensively. So utilizing it to shifting sands your villages, your army, all this other good stuff can be really, really good. But right now, Squash, he's got no idea there's a gold mine in this corner. He's got no idea that there are towers being set up. He's got no idea that these towers are going to be safeguard towers, or maybe he's going to be thinking about it. But Rapl not actually upgrading safeguard just yet. Maybe a little bit of a mistake there, because safeguard, if you're unaware, does reduce your tower costs by 25%. So instead of them costing 300 resources total, they're going to be costing I don't know, 250 or something like this. So all of these towers here would gain about 150 200 resources back had he gotten safeguard first. So a little bit of ordering here could have gone a long way, but not going to be all that bad, as we've seen the spearmen push through to try and push through this gate. We see Hathor coming in. And now Rapl has to be like, well, where to next? As he's got 71 population, the food's coming in, the gold's coming in, the Wadget comes over to check this one out, the Axemen spot this, the Longhouse coming down, the walls have come onto this location here as well. And where is Squash off to? He's got a very, very easy way through on this location though, as Rapl's not set up over here at all. Not only that, Squash could also use his rock to jump over this wall, and because Rapl's not set up, he's not going to be able to get any sort of gold star or do much damage here at all. We're seeing some houses getting dropped. He's not making any reaction to move up to this location. All these buildings over here are going to be relatively useless, so that's the... What's this, like 300, 1,200 resources dropped on that location that aren't going to be worth diddly squat here as the villagers move immediately in to take down this tower, and it still doesn't have safeguard. However, Rapl has forced the units over onto this position, which is a really big deal as we're starting to see the rock hovering over on this location, the spearmen coming back. Because it's forced Squash over onto this location, he might be able to drop Undermine or something on this, but Squash is going Horus. He says, I don't care. I don't need to make a Heimdal here. I'm going to go Horus, and I'm going to use my tornado to tear through your position. And the problem here for Rapl is where to next? He's going through Skadi. Is he going to be there in time? It looks like he will get to the heroic age before a tornado is possible here. So he's going to be losing his town center for sure, because there's no way he can get himself to masons and fortified town centers in time. But definitely casting Undermine on this Heimdal stronghold could go a really, really long way. But right now, that's not going to be able to happen. And not only that, Rapl here, 88 population, not really going to have a great answer to the Avenger, apart from the fact he's got these walls up. So the Avenger's going to take the long route around this way. We see the rock coming back in to be a little bit of a nuisance here. And Rapl's going to be making his way up onto this location. A little bit sad we don't see the Walking Woods, because let's just, like, say for argument's sake, Horus is coming, tornado hits. Who cares? You go 115 population push with Walking Woods. Maybe you can push off this gold mine and get the gold star you are after. As you see, Hillfort getting dropped on this gold mine. This is perfect to get this gold mine for himself. But right now, the dwarves sitting over here are going to be a big deal. And where is Squash going to go next is the big question. He's got his units out. He's got himself Horus. He's got himself his tornado. He's got lots of resources in the bank, 32 favor, and we see the tornado simply being used on this forward location here. So Rapl's got to be happy about that. This is a very rare situation where tornado, while it did do a lot of damage, let's be real, that was 1,200 resources, which is more than a town center, but and all the houses going down. But no town center loss means Rapl's fine here. I mean, he's completely fine. He just needs to make sure he doesn't lose 1 million villagers, and potentially he can just go straight to the Mythic Age here and get a huge Ragnarok in. But what he's doing right now is going hyper aggressive onto this location. He knows he doesn't need to save Frost for a... he knows he doesn't need to save Frost for Son of Osiris, so he's just going to cast Frost on this location, Undermine, and try and take down this Heimdal stronghold as fast as he can, utilizing that Einherjar to empower his army and take this Heimdal stronghold down. And Squash is in a little bit of trouble here. Where is the Avenger, though? The Avenger sitting idly by, not doing a whole lot right now. It's a very important unit that could be getting some big raids in, getting some big locusts through as well. More houses getting dropped as the Huskal getting pushed in here to take down this location. We see the Heimdal dropping. There are a handful of chariot archers out right now for those Huskal to get a huge advantage here. So we'll see after all is said and done whether or not this will work, because while yes, this does do a lot of damage to Squash as he freezes 17 villages here and the army, Squash has still got his gold mine over here, and Squash is going to be making his way in onto this position to take this town center down. And Squash is so smart, as he's going to be getting himself elephants out here, and not only that, casts shifting sands to pull his villagers onto this location as he's going to be rushing down this town center. He doesn't have himself Skin of the Rhino just yet, but it is coming through as he is going full aggro onto this location. Rapl going to be picking off this Avenger as well for free here with that Frost Giant to take that one down. That's going to be huge for Rapl, but will he be able to hold this location or not is the big question. More Frost Giants coming in. Squash looking like he has to retreat. No siege on this position at all. He doesn't take a whole lot of casualties though. Will be retreating away. Is probably going to lose this War Elephant, which is a lot of resources to be losing here. The Priest coming in to take down this Frost Giant with the help of the Pharaoh in the back here as well. As we're now starting to see some catapults rolling in onto this position as Rapl is full scramble mode to get back over here and defend this one. We're seeing this rock hanging over here as well, not doing all too much as Rappl's resources are starting to mount here. Thinking about, should he go Mythic Age here or should he get heavy upgrades? I feel like he can stay Heroic Age here if he gets medium or heavy infantry, heavy cavalry. He should be kind of fine if he's got the production facilities. He's got probably not enough production here though for raiding cavalry. So maybe heavy infantry into kind of like maybe like Ulfsark Huskal could be a decent idea, forcing out the Axemen or something like that, and then you're able to build all the barracks and go into those cavalry you want. But right now he's clicked up Balder. He is going to be going for the Ragnarok. There is no scary there's no scary Son of Osiris to overcome. The gold mines, while they are there are a lot of them. How's this Locust doing? Picks off a handful of villages, just 3, 4, nearly 5 villages, 5 kills. Not a bad Locust, but not a good Locust either. So that's kind of just what we call a standard Locust. So Rappl's going to be happy about that one. He just needs gold right now to be making units. He needs to get up to his 130 population and effectively go for basically an all-in, to say the very least, an all-in with this Rag to try and win this game. Because like Squash right now, he's getting himself all his upgrades. He's getting more barracks thrown down. He's got himself 1 Heimdal Stronghold. He's getting himself champion chariots here. So definitely thinking about getting your armor upgrades here wouldn't be a bad idea. Are we seeing that coming through for Rapl or not? Yes, he's very, very clever getting the Pierce upgrades. He sees the army. He knows the Pierce upgrades are important. We see the chariot archers on the prowl right now, but the Huskal are here to push these bad boys back, especially with the help of the Frost Giant to snipe down some of these units to get slight advantage where that's concerned. So now the champion chariots have come through. Town center has fallen for Rapl as Squash is moving in to get himself his own third town center, a third Heimdal stronghold coming down here as well, as Squash is migrating onto this gold mine to hold this one as best as he possibly can, as now Rapl retreating back home. The big question is, how many villages has Rapl managed to amass here? He's at 122 population. Gets his Fire Giant. That's going to be a huge help. And 259 population Rag. Not a bad effort at all. Getting himself copper weapons. I definitely want to see him get at least bronze shields after this. I think this is all in, so he shouldn't worry about getting a second town center or anything like that. This is as all in as it comes. Another Heimdal stronghold coming down here for Squash. Upgrades in just what's that called? Masons, as Squash also getting himself architects as the units are going to be pushing in onto this position, taking down the catapults, taking down everything else in its path very, very quickly as more units steaming in. We are seeing a town center getting dropped by Rapl in the back here as he's realizing maybe a little bit of economy, a little bit of safety is not a bad way to go. Did he end up getting that upgrade? Doesn't look like he did. He does have the resources to get it as he's pushing through. He's got more Heimdal strongholds coming up as Squash is doing everything he possibly can to hold on here, as the Heimdal strongholds are going to get taken down very, very quickly here though, and the gold mine is under pressure in the near future. Not only that, this one Fire Giant is going to be a huge help in taking out this champion chariot ball. Every single time you see these chariots, you should be moving this Fire Giant in, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. Actually, no, we see a bit of a misclick there onto the villager. Every splash damage that a Fire Giant does onto those units, if you take a quick look here, is 25 hack and 15 crush, and it's 3 fireballs, and it does area of effect damage for each fireball at a range of 3. So he could deal potentially onto all these units. How much damage was that? 25 hack times 15. with 19 if he hits all of these chariot archers, which is absolutely bonkers. We see the fire giant coming in, going to be using that special attack. No, Squash micros it nicely here as the fire giant wandering forward. There he goes. There, look at that splash damage coming in. Boom, big amounts of damage. They all just take a little bit, but they're all very much in pain right now. Rappl's at 185 of 120 populations. We see another Migdol stronghold coming down onto this position as the fire giant still pushing in over here. The wall going to get rebuilt over onto this location here to prevent this gold mine from being grabbed. How many resources in the bank for Squash right now? He's still got plenty of gold in the bank. Still no real answer for the fire giant. We're starting to see some mercenary cavalry coming in as the unit's still pushing through here, trying to take these Migdol strongholds down. But does Rapl have enough steam left in him after pushing through all of those Migdols? We see the villagers making their way over onto the mining camp here. Squash has still got himself 29 villagers on wood, 18 on food. So these 10 villagers on gold are not a big portion of his economy here, as Rapl is still trying to make his way through Squash here, as the town center is sitting here looking mightily strong, as like Squash 117 to 130 population. He still has this Migdol stronghold making chariot archers. It's the only military production which Squash has left, and Rapl is not taking it out here. He's taking down those chariot archers beautifully, but not taking this out is allowing gold to get gathered, and maybe this is going to be enough for Squash to hold here. He still hasn't been able to take this fire giant down as the Rag Hero is trying to circle around. Do the Rag Heroes have those extra upgrades? Not just yet. We do see bronze weapons as well as copper mail in for Squash to help him out on this defense, as now the mercenary cavalry coming out. The fire giant still cleaning house, but guess what? Rapl is down to 56 of 140 population, and Squash inevitably holds here, and Rapl not going to have a whole lot left. He's got himself 90 favor in the bank, 0 gold, a handful of Rag Heroes remaining here. His village is starting to come out. He's only got himself plow, no irrigation or anything else like that here. 1 fire giant remaining, 25 favor here, as Rapl's Ragnarok has fallen flat and Squash's economy is gigantic. 2018-16, looking at about 60, just under 60 villages here, maybe 55 villages or so, and this is going to be a mountain to climb for Rapl, because he's at 1 villager or something, right? 4 villages. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, we'll see if Rapl can get a fire giant or 2 out and make some miracles happen, as we see this fire giant coming over here. But with 1 pharaoh, he's going to be able to snipe that fire giant down. Squash is going to get back up to his 130 population very, very quickly here, with his chariot archers getting pumped out of that town, out of that Migdol. And we'll see how this is all going, as the chariot archers pull back. This lone fire giant here is not long for the world. Normally you have a handful of units to take out the pharaoh, but in this case, it's not available to Rapl, so the fire giant just not able to do anything here, as Rapl retreating back, 27 population. A sad Norse player to be sure here, as Squash finishes off another Huskal, and he's going to slowly motor forward, grab this forward town center, and I think when Rapl sees that, it's going to be lights out. He's like, yep, Squash has got too many resources. I didn't do enough with my rag, and that'll be the game here, as he's going to get that one up. Does Rapl see it or not? Yes, he does. See the fire giant coming back in to help out. And I mean, what other option does Rapl really have here? This town center gets access to this gold mine with mercenary. This gold mine over here. This gold mine over here is all good. I don't know. I think that definitely what Rapl could have considered doing here should have been a much better idea. Would have been heavy infantry, Ulfsark, Huskal, barracks, try and grab 4 town centers. Rapl does tap out here, realizing the game is over when the town center pops up, and that is the game. GG well played by Squash. A really, really clean game. Obviously, he had the right idea here with the multiple different gold mines on separate sides of the map. Rapl did get some good damage dealt back to Squash, but sometimes it's not enough. Like, getting a little bit of a win isn't enough to actually win a game. And Rapl's Rag did come in a decent timing from memory. What time did he get Mythic Age here? 16 minutes, 11 seconds. Probably would have been nicer to see a 15-minute Mythic Age here from Rapl. But if he was going for the all-in kind of variant of the Rag. But when it comes down to it, had Rapl pushed in over here and prevented this gold mine from being grabbed, take this Migdol stronghold out, that prevents the chariot archers from being built, forcing more Migdols to be placed down. But then you can push in here and you can use your double fire giant or your fire giant to snipe down those chariot archers, start getting that economy rolling again. Could have been the only real way to see maybe a little bit of a more chance from that Rag to get a victory here. But the big thing that I think to take away from this game is rushing Rag is not necessarily always the right play. If you've got yourself 2,000 resources in the bank, that means you could have got yourself heavy infantry, got yourself heavy cavalry, got yourself a ton of buildings down and held this town center. And holding this town center means this town center over here is fairly easy to grab. 4 town centers to 2 town centers. We know that this is a winnable endgame situation for a Norse player against Ra. It just takes a little bit of time. And if he had held that, then maybe different story in this game. But definitely Rapl, one of the most interesting Odin players here, trying to take games off Ra in a very, very different way than we see normally going Heimdal, but not working out in this game and Squash getting the dub. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next game.